Um, Welcome everyone to our Halloween version of Perfect Connections. It's great to see everyone in this last day of October. I'm Susan Walker. For those of you who are joining us from the video world. We'll go around, introduce ourselves, and as we do that, if you have anything, you meaning the people who are here, have anything they'd like to talk about today, or a question for the group, or anything that they are seeking support on, please let us know, and then we'll make sure that we come back to that. Just for whatever, I'm Susan Walker, formerly with the University of Minnesota in the Parent Family Ed program. And I will turn it, oh, and I have nothing because my heart is full. So my head is full. I'm just so always happy to be here. And I will turn it over to Greta Nelson.
Hi, I'm Greta Nelson, and I am a parent educator in Cambridge ISD schools. I voted early for our referendum. Just going to put that out there. And let's see. I guess if there isn't anything else, I would like to know what your districts do for older than 5 years old. What kind of programming do you have for families that have older than five? So we've got some we can talk about it later, but I have a little bit of a situation that might be remedied by having like a ECFE 2.0 possibly, but I want to get ideas first before we dive into it. So yeah, that's mine. And how about Jenny? Hi, Jenny.
Sure. I'm Jenny Thompson. I am currently in District 196 with Christy, which is Rosemont, Apple Valley, Egan. I just started there this fall after I was in St. Paul schools and they had big budget cuts, so I was cut from there. I am just half-time or a little over in 196, so I'm also doing a little subbing in St. Paul to see my old people, families. And my primary role is not traditional ECFE. I teach one Spanish-speaking monthly ECFE class, but my main role is family engagement. So I do support with the pre-K classrooms at 3 different schools. Every pre-K in the district has a parent educator, which is kind of an amazing program. Um, so yeah, I'll send it off to Nancy.
Hi, I'm Nancy Trahey, formerly parent educator for Albany area schools. I retired from teaching preschool and parent education full time in, I don't know, 3, 4 years ago, and then continued as a parent educator until, like Jenny, budget cuts this year. I'm fully retired now, and I'm here. Some of you are probably going, why is she still coming to these? But I'm here to support the notion of getting some documentation when we mention a resource that can be, shared in the chat, for example. Then I try to make a document that then Susan attaches to the video so that people who aren't able to be here have access to those resources. So I appreciate if, when you can, if there's something that you're willing to share, things that you've developed yourself, think hard about before you do that, because you might have people contacting you and that you'd rather just have kept it just to the people that are here today. So something for you to think about. And I will pass it on to Christy.
Hi, glad to be here. The reason I'm able to come today is there's no school and I have no obligations, and that's very rare. And so I think about this group all the time and how supportive it was when I was here, and thought, well, I could be here today. So here I am. And I work in, as Jenny mentioned, Rosemont, Apple Valley, Egan. My title is assistant administrator. But I'm a parent ed at heart and had taught parent ed for like 28 years. So, let's see, what do I have on my mind? I guess I'm here because I want to know what parent eds are talking about, across the state, because you're all in different places. And thinking about what support, I'm always thinking about what support parents need. And so that's kind of why I'm here. And who did not go yet? And I'm sorry, ICM, and your name is Mary, is that correct?
Yes, it's not M. Schrader. It's
Okay, it's
Mary. Sorry
Mary.
about that.
Okay.
I'm Mary Schrader, and I am teaching currently in Hastings 4 days a week, and then I teach 3 classes at South Washington as well. And I'm only in my 3rd year of teaching, and I'm loving it. This is what I wanted to do when I grew up. So, but I'm still not grown up, but I'm here. Um, my If I had one thing I could ask all of you, and I'm looking for advice, it's how to grow our baby program in actually both in South Washington and Hastings. The baby program could use the baby classes are not filling up as I would like to see them. So that's about it. Is there anyone left who hasn't? Nope, I think that's everybody. Back to you, Susan.
Okay. Well, thanks everyone. This is fabulous. And I have to tell you how it warms my heart to see a couple of you come back with such fond memories of our little Friday group and Christy, for you to be interested in what kind of support parenting educators need, because I mean that's really a big part of what this is, right? So so thank you all. Okay, well, since Jenny didn't have something, so we'll just start with our with Greta, if that's okay, on programming for families with children over 5.
Mhm.
Does anybody do that? Any suggestions?
Well, I could tell you what we've done. And I wish I knew how many years we've been doing it, but when you get to be my age, time just gets warped somehow. I don't know how that happens. But we opened up our evening classes and our Saturday playtime to kids up to age 7 years, 11 months, so up to age 8. We did that for many years, quite successfully. And then something shifted, and I'm not sure what it was, but it just became too, I don't know, too hard, I guess, to serve birth to age 8 in, one group. And so we tried many different supports, many different ideas, and finally came down to what if we made it up to age 6 years, 11 months, rather than, we made it up to age 7 instead of up to age 8. And we cut the age limit by 2 kids. So we were taking 16 and now we take 14. So, and we assume kids are in school during the day. That's why we don't, older than pre-kindergarten and during the day. But it started off quite well this year. We got good feedback. We did get a little pushback from some parents who weren't ready to leave us. And then also, I was in an advisory council meeting recently, and it was this topic again, which comes around every few years. Like, what do we do when we're too old for ECFE, and can you start a group for us? Well, I said, well, you could be the grassroots that starts the group, because that's kind of what happened with the Spanish-speaking class Jenny referenced. Was a group of Spanish speakers came to us and said, we want this. So they said, so what you're saying is we have to start the group. I said, well, you need to be instrumental in starting the group, because we did try this a few years ago. It wouldn't take off. Just didn't take off. So, I don't know. People think that's what they want, but then they find other places for support that they didn't know they would find. And then it kind of drops off for them too. So we that's what we've done. We've added them into our night class, and we have tried groups, especially for K through 2, but have had limited success with that. And so we dropped that idea, but it might be coming around again.
We had similar experiences, Christy, in Albany, and I think parents get so busy, they think that's what they want, and they get so busy and they just can't find a way to fit it in their short evening time frame. Ellen, don't I remember that you have had some programming for families with children older than 5? Maybe she can't talk right now. That's okay. That's right.
We, the question came around because we have a couple classes that have families that have young children, but they also have their older ones. They've been around for quite a while, kind of like what Christy was talking about. And we're and there's been some interesting group dynamics because of that. So we're wondering if there isn't a need for a K5 or a K2 program. And we did have one, a class, like it was like 10 years ago now, I think. And it was the same thing. Families graduating, their kids are getting older, and that group went on, and the parent educator went with them, and they did like an hour and 15 minutes, and they had childcare they paid for, and then they met. There's no interaction time, there's no separation. I mean, it's all separation. And it worked well for that group, but then when we tried to continue it, it didn't last. And I feel very similar to you, Christy, that I think families' lives change when their kids go off to primary school, and what they think they still need, and maybe valid, they do want community, but I just don't know if it happens in the same way as easily. Many go to work, take up some part-time jobs or full-time, that sort of thing happens. And I don't know. It's yeah, that's why I'm asking the question. Because we are coming around again to some families who are like, we want 2.0. And we're trying to decide if we want to arrange our programming even this spring already to maybe take those specific people, maybe, and do it. I don't know. That's why I'm wondering what people do in different districts. So thanks, Christy, for what it kind of confirms some things, and maybe encourages. Maybe we just, like you said, baby classes do that around here too. There's like 16 to 20 in a class, and then it wanes off to like 3 or 4, and then it goes back up to like 20, which is another topic we're going to get to today. But yeah.
But I wonder too if they're looking for connection and staying connected. When I was in ECFE, we were all sad to be leaving each other when we were aging out. So we created a book club that lasted like 20 years. So and we didn't read parenting books. We read other kinds of books that we just created a book club, and that kept us connected for a very long time. But maybe even making some suggestions for how they could stay connected to each other.
That's a great idea. Yeah.
I was going to say the same thing that, once you get to elementary school, the families are so busy that they think they want that, but they, can't manage it. But it's really about helping them form a community who can be their parenting supports, right? So I've found post-COVID that I have to be so much more intentional about it used to be I had one class that like first day of class, one of the moms who'd been in ECFE for 10 years said, I'm passing around a sign-up sheet. Who wants to be on a text chain? And then that class became really cohesive, right? But for families newer to ECFE and having had babies in COVID, they don't necessarily know how to build community in that way, or they lost that track. So I have to be really intentional and say, this group can be your parenting support for all of your children's childhood and social support for you.
Mm-hmm.
adults, and you have to create, and I can send around the sign up sheet, but somebody else has to start the text chain, right? So it feels like you have to nudge it a little bit so that they do, because in elementary school, if they have other parents who have similar age children, they can be that connector, like, oh my gosh, my first grader is doing this. What should I do? But you have to nudge them a little bit to create it.
Yeah, we're creating one right now in Hastings, and there's a mom who has agreed to kind of put it together. And it's just going to be a what are you doing today text. So if people are looking for something to do and suggest a park to meet at, or suggest some outing, and then whoever can go, no expectations, but it's just a way to stay connected.
I am so all for connection. I mean, number one, I want the families in my classes to feel connected to each other and have some supports there beyond everything. And what I'm hearing from them is they want connection, but they're also saying, but we need information. So I'm really aware that they want connection. But I also am hearing that they want information. So that's where it gets yes, and yes. So that's helpful. Thank you. Anybody else have examples or examples of where it's working and they're continuing? K2.
We don't have anything like that in Jordan. I would love to do ECFE, K through 2. I just don't know how to go about it. And actually, most of our ECFE parents go once they start preschool at age 3, like they're done with ECFE. So our ECFE is really like birth to 2.5 or 3. So yes, I would love to have that continuation of programming. Just not sure how to do it. So I'm always kind of keeping my ears open. Yeah. And Susan, I'm dying over your pirate costume right now.
I can't look
Love
at her and not and be so serious, right?
It's so great. I just love it.
Oh,
Thank you, technology.
we can move on if there's no other information out there. I mean, or examples. I think it's just the nature of ECFE right now. I think Katie, over the 30 some years that I've been involved with ECFE, it has changed. I think a lot. We have a really weighted younger population too. Preschool, school readiness dollars, VBK, all that stuff really made 3 to 5s um, focused there. And we have some that come in families, multi ages and stuff, but we don't even have a 3-5 ECFE class. And we used to years ago. I mean, I won't tell you what years, but it was a long time ago. We had 3-5 classes in ECFE. It was really kind of fun. But anyway.
Yeah, we do have, we call it Mixed Ages Monday. It's a Monday night class where the parents, they don't separate, but it's full. So it's kind of like, it's full right now, but it's mostly, I would say, 1s and 2s. And there's a few 3-year-olds, if they don't make the cutoff by September 1st being 3, then they have to wait a whole nother year. So we've got some of those kids in there, but, so, I mean, at least that's something, but, yeah, we got a ways to go. We're getting there.
Well, thanks, everybody. Sort of then on a similar note, when we're talking about programming, age-based, let's talk about Mary's question about how to grow the baby program. And Ellen, I know that, I know you're muted. I know you're on your iPhone. But Ellen has a lot of experience as well as other people here with the baby program. So I know she'll have some ideas, but yeah, how do you grow a baby program? And Mary, do you want to say any more about where the question's coming from?
Just that that's where we want to grow here, because that's a good place to then continue to feed into the program. I did go and get certified in infant massage, so I think that's going to help because we'll offer infant massage in the coming months. And but overall, it's hard to find those babies and reach those babies and for moms and dads with babies, parents with babies. And I guess there used to be, is what I hear, ways to connect with the doctor's offices, health care, and that no longer is the case. And so just like, what's working out there for really connecting and letting people know that this option exists for newborns.
Cambridge ISANI, we do the baby cafe that's connected with WIC and Public Health. And we also do a baby story time at the library. That also pulls in some more. And we used to, we aren't currently doing, but we have in the past gone to WIC and been at their office to just meet families and do an outreach there. Those are 3 things, possibly.
Greta, can you say more about what the baby cafe is? That sounds fabulous.
Yeah, so what Baby Cafe is it is a licensed lactation that you have to have a lactation specialist. That's a part of it. And then they have a WIC representative there as well. And the hospital has joined in with it. So it was a collaboration, but Baby Cafe is a specific program, Baby Cafe. So, and we just, as parent educators, we have a parent educator that goes and meets with the families there too.
Oh, is that something like through the Department of Health or?
It must be Minnesota Department of Health. Now, let me think through. Does anybody else know off the top of their head that has one?
No, but when I was in Hastings,
Regional.
Yeah, the TLC.
there was a baby cafe that was at an organization, and but I think it was at a more sort of Christian pro-life organization.
Okay, yeah, that's not what this is.
No, but it was a baby cafe. But I always had parents telling me of babies in Hastings that if you had a class with a lactation expert, and also what new parents want to be able to do is weigh their baby every week because they're
Mhm,
worried about growth. And
mhm.
she always said, if you would just have a scale, and of course it's bigger than that, right? You kind of need a nurse, like in Ellen's Northfield thing. But just that idea that new families want to be checking in on their baby weekly. And Mary, I was going to ask you quickly, does South Washington County used to have an amazing baby program. It was an online baby class that I think Kathy, someone
Yeah,
ran.
she retired.
Because I know the Hastings babies all went to the South Washington County online ECFE class because they had a parent educator come to the hospital in Woodbury and
Yeah,
pull them
I,
in. I was always
yeah,
like, oh, we
yeah,
need
I
you to
know.
come to Hastings.
That's
Yeah.
not in place anymore, though. I think um Kathy retired, and I'm very close to the person who's doing the Kelly Danielson, and we talk all the time and collaborate. I'm not doing babies there, she is, but we're both working, and they have a bigger outreach, or bigger and better outreach than Hastings. But the TLC people, I could probably go and ask if I could come to their meetings and or just be there as another resource. Um, and we do have a scale now. I have a scale, so when people are coming for baby massage, they want to weigh their babies, they can.
We did some tracking when I was doing it. I made a little book that every time they came, they added another page, and we would get their footprint, make it some kind of art, that sort of thing, and then put what their weight was that day, and then what are they doing? Maybe they're doing something different. What is their sleeping? What does their wake time look like? And we added to that little book, and then just really simple construction paper, half sheet thing, right? But then we bound it with rings, and they kind of like then felt like they wanted to keep coming. So anyway,
Yeah,
that was
I
good.
love that idea.
That's
Thank you.
for retention. I mean, right? So it's not really what you're looking for, getting more to come, but for retention.
Yeah.
I've had pretty good luck with Facebook for advertising baby classes. Um, I put it on our early learning Facebook page, and then I also share it to, we have a Jordan Mamas page here, which is very active and busy. So that's a really good way for us to kind of get the word out. Putting flyers up at the community center, at um, the doctor's offices, um, things like that. I don't know if you've tried Facebook, but that's been a really good one for me. Um, and I'm curious, Mary, can you share, like, what does it take to get certified in infant massage? I'm just curious about that. That's great.
I went, I went to, is it hold on, it's International Infant Massage. I took, 4 full day classes online over the summer. Um, and then after that, uh, here it is. Is this it? Infant Massage USA. Yeah, Infant Massage USA. And then after that, you have to do a teaching practicum and then have the parents fill out 5 classes, 5 families, fill out a evaluation, take an online or a test, a written test, and then write a paper on a research topic around infant massage. So I finally just got all that done. It took me from July till now, and I just
That's
sent it up
great.
now.
I just love that you did that. That's wonderful.
I have a little time on my hands, so
Thank you for sharing that.
sure. And it was about $800, and the district paid for it for me.
Oh.
I do love the idea of maybe I know that we have a person here who does Facebook for us, but maybe I could go talk to her and we could come up with like a little campaign to drive babies our way. So thanks for that idea for Facebook.
Ellen, did we bring you up to date? Mary's wondering about how to build her infant program.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's awesome. Mary, do you have, I know I heard you in the car when I was in the car, it said you used to have a clinic do you have a clinic or a hospital in your community? Remind me where you are.
Hastings. I think
Oh,
one goes to Woodbury. I don't know even.
okay. Um, do you have anybody in your program? When I did a whole thing on growing your newborn program at Menafee a couple years ago,
Oh yeah.
one in suggestion was to find parents in your program who have talked about ECFE at their wild child checks. I guarantee you there is a pediatrician in Hastings who knows about ECFE, who has attended ECFE, who knows someone who goes to ECFE. That is your in. If you can get one pediatrician or family practitioner who is pro ECFE, that is how you get a flyer in a clinic. You just need one.
Okay.
Because if you can start hanging things around, if you can hang things around the clinic or they hang it like in the waiting room or where they wait, where they have babies have their well child check or they put it above the scale, that's how you can get into the clinics. How's your public health? Do you have a good relationship with public health?
I have no relationship with public health.
So,
There's, yeah,
yeah,
I do that.
if you can reach out to public health and find out if anybody there would be willing to partner with you. Advertising on Facebook is great. I would also advertise on Instagram. A lot of families are not using Facebook anymore. Unfortunately, they're using TikTok, which I am sorry. I can't do it. I can't go down that rabbit hole. But I would say Instagram, at least in my community, is used more heavily than Facebook. Facebook is great. It's better than nothing. But I also consider adding Instagram. Um, it's been interesting. We switched advertising for some of our activities, not baby related, but we've switched changing our activities from just a post on Facebook to an event. And what's interesting about an event is that when people say they're interested, it pops up in other people's feeds. So I would say if you're going to start a baby class, I would mark it in Facebook as an event. And then it'll show that it's happening weekly. It'll show if people are interested, and it'll start showing up in other people's feeds that way.
Okay,
Um,
great.
that's a little hack that I've learned. It also reminds people in Facebook that an event is coming up. If you're just like, Hastings ECFE has a baby class, it shows up once, you never see it again. But as an event, it keeps popping up in people's, you might be interested in, so and so is interested in. Um,
That's a
I would,
great suggestion, Ellen. I'm sorry to
yeah.
interrupt you.
No, it's okay.
Like my daughter is, well, she's a teacher. She's on a maternity leave for a short period of time. And her hesitation, I think, to participating in some of these, she did look them up. I mean, she didn't even need me to say, hey, remember ECFE? But the problem was that the district she's in and the ones surrounding her, it sounds like it's a long-term commitment. And she said, I'm only going to be off for a few weeks.
Mhm.
So I think if it had come across as an event
Mhm.
somehow, or been talked about like come once or
Mhm,
twice
mhm.
if you can. Because those first couple weeks, her head is spinning. She's trying to get a handle on everything. The new mom I'm talking about, the new working mom. And then before you know it, it's almost time to go back. And so there's like a sweet spot of a few weeks in the middle there that if you have a way to let them know about it, it doesn't sound like, sorry, if you don't join for the whole,
Mhm.
whatever, 13 weeks, you're.
And I think calling it a drop-in class is, no drop in, no registration necessary. I kind of think those words kind of make it feel like less of a commitment.
You also
I,
have like
I,
6 weeks class, right? 6 week. Sorry, Kirsty.
no, you go ahead.
I was just gonna say, Ellen, you also have shortened yours to like a 6 week rotation or something. No?
It's
Okay.
12.
It is 12. Okay.
It's 12. But
Oh,
I don't put that on I'll pull up my flyer. I don't put how many weeks it is. I
oh,
just say a
no.
class for parents of babies birth to 12 weeks.
So
And
you,
it says
mhm,
no registration necessary, except we do have families register. We have to have them register for SIB care so that we have appropriate staffing.
yeah.
Helen, what about your regular baby classes? Are those also like
No,
longer?
those are regular, you register for them as a session.
Okay, and how many weeks are those typically?
Fall is 10 weeks. Winter is typically 8 and spring is 6 or 7.
Okay, so you maybe wouldn't do the drop-in as much with those classes?
No,
Just
no, no, no.
just the
We don't do drop.
newborn?
No, we don't do drop in after this newborn class. The newborn class is the only
Gotcha.
drop in class.
Okay.
But it's drop in, but I would say 80% of the moms who come for, I did a whole, like I went through the math and I have like of the 100 moms who came last year, like 70% came more than 4 times. So I do
Okay.
keep track of that data.
Okay.
I have a whole huge spreadsheet that where I keep track of how many hours, like for our report, how many times they come and I add up the
Yeah.
hours. But no, once they graduate from baby talk, the majority of them go back to work. But I have two baby classes right now, two 3 to 12 month, an evening one and a daytime one. In between those two classes, I have 22 babies,
Okay.
3 to 12-month old. And they almost all of them came from baby talk,
Yeah.
from the
Yeah,
newborn
because
class.
and I think I've shared this before, Jordan's just still too small to do, I think, a newborn talk separate from a baby class. So
Mhm.
our baby class is like birth to 12 months. And we
And
do get.
that's a great way to do it too, Mary. It doesn't have to be a newborn class. The reason I think a newborn class is so important is those moms are at home.
Right,
They have nothing going on and
right. And they need people.
they need people. And so I'm sorry, I was talking. I'm going to go get the flyer. If you publicize it as, do you need to get out of the house with your newborn? They're like, yes. And that is, I would say, the one like theme, though, if I had to pick a thread out of when moms end a baby talk, they say, I loved having a place to get out of the house. I loved having a place to go to get out of the house. Um, and so if you can get that going, then, all right, I'm going to put this in the chat so you guys can see it.
Thank you.
And once they come, they're like, oh my gosh, this was awesome, because it's a giant group. I had 17 this week. Oh, also, you guys, Northfield is Owatonna just closed their labor and delivery department. Faribault is still open. Northfield is. New Prague closed. So we're pulling people from a lot of different areas. So a lot of my families are not from Northfield. I've got people coming from Lonsdale, New Prague, Farmington, Lakeville. I have had some families from Hastings because they give birth at the Northfield Hospital. Yes, you can put this in the shared document. Thank you for asking, Nancy. This goes to all of them. This is the flyer that goes to everybody who has a baby in the community. So, and this is also hanging up at the clinics. But again, I have that partnership with our hospital that was built back in 1998. So when people are like, how did you do it? I'm like, I didn't. Like, it was before HIPAA. And I'm so fortunate to have that relationship.
Mary, in our district, all our baby classes are free for in-district families. And we have the same teacher teaching all of them. We do birth to 12 months. We do a 3:30 and a 5 o'clock class. On Friday mornings, it's baby playtime, which is a drop-in scenario like Ellen was describing. A lot of times people come to the drop-in and then they join the class because they get to know the teacher. We have the same teacher doing all of them, and she has really embraced that infant world and has gone over and above, like thinking of things to do with baby parents, and has become like the guru of babies. And I think all of those things have gone into play to make it successful, but we did take a dip where we were like, what's happening? Where are all the babies? We met with the district student information systems. I don't know how you get the birth records in your district, but all of Dakota County births, we get our student information gets those, and then they sort through them to see which ones are in the district, and then they enter them into student information systems, which is how we get their address to send them a catalog. Well, we discovered they were like 10 months behind in entering the baby births. And so none of them were getting our information. And once we explained how important that was for our programming and our budget and, the health of our program, now they enter them all the time. And miraculously, our baby classes are full again. So census could have something to do with it. Just an idea.
Christy, could you put that process in the chat so I can just kind of just bullet that?
Sure.
Excuse me. That'd be like helpful as I'm taking notes.
Christy, what are the ages of that Friday morning baby playtime? Is that birth to 12 months?
Yes.
Okay.
And we did try to partner with Baby Cafe and WIC, and they had so many restrictions around what we had to do, and they couldn't follow our school calendar. So we just flipped it into a baby playtime, and it's been super successful.
This is interesting. I just plugged in my zip code for the baby cafe, and there is nothing in the West Metro, the Southwest Metro. Like the only thing, there's something in Owatonna, but like there's
Yeah,
a
there is.
huge open space where I feel like I need to try to get one started in this area. Yeah, that's really interesting.
Yeah, the one here is called East Central Baby Cafe, Isani County, if anyone wants to go out and is interested.
Yeah, I'm curious because I know, yeah, Owatonna. there was something about Baby Cafe that I didn't love. Oh, yeah, if there's a lactation consultant, I didn't like it because if you're not it didn't seem super non-breastfeeding welcoming. And I'm like, I'm out. I'm not who was I talking to about that? They were going to name it Baby Cafe, and I said I wouldn't because if you have moms who are not breastfeeding, it's really off-putting.
Hmm.
Like I'm not going to support a group that doesn't support all kinds of feeding. Sorry.
Right.
I'm sorry, not sorry. I think it's really be careful.
Yeah, it's
Good,
still a
good to
good
know.
resource for parents who
100%.
are, this is a good
Absolutely.
resource for parents who are breastfeeding.
Absolutely.
It's
But
just, yeah, parents should be aware that it's focused on breastfeeding.
right. Basically like a La Leche League
Mhm.
sort of thing. Yeah.
Hmm.
I'm curious how, so, Christy, when you did the lookup, where did you go for that?
The lookup of birth
Oh,
records?
no, 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 I'm sorry. When you said that there's, oh, not Christy, I'm sorry, Katie. When you did the lookup of the locations and you said there's none in here and here and here.
Yeah.
So just for our viewing audience, where did you go to do that search?
So, somebody put the link in the chat here.
Oh,
Was that,
okay.
who was
Yeah,
that?
I did.
Nancy.
Nancy did.
Oh,
Yep.
Nancy. Okay.
Yep. So I just plugged in my zip code. I think I did like a 50-mile radius. And, you've got St. Michael, you've got St. Paul, you've got Hastings, and then there's one in Owatonna, but there's nothing really like South Metro, Southwest Metro, West Metro. There's just a giant hole. So I don't know, but yeah, it's good to know that it's kind of geared toward the breastfeeding moms. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, just an observation.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mary, I just put something in the chat for you. It's the presentation that I did in 23 at Menafee about starting, and maybe you were there. I don't know. But it's what I put together. It'll be 3 years. I did it in '03.
Oh,
But
wow.
it's got like at the end, if you kind of scroll through the end, it talks about how to get it going, possible partnerships, and why I, focused on only the 12 weeks and things like that. And then well, my flyer was old at that time, but anyway, there might be some good stuff in there that can help you. It's not particularly long, but
Yeah. Same question, Ellen. How do you feel about me putting it in that?
totally go for it. Yep. Yep. Happy to. And then my last slide is like, message me. And I did have after that, after I presented that, I got a slew of emails and phone calls, so much so that I asked my coordinator, I'm like, I've been spending a lot of time. Can I get paid for that? She's like, sure. So I put a couple hours on my timesheet.
Good. I got to tell you, Ellen, that spreadsheet you made, it's changed my life.
I love
I
that.
know. And then I put these sheets, every class, I have a link to the lesson plan, a link to my notes. It prompts me then to take notes after class and then for what happened. And then I put a link to whatever, like PowerPoint or handouts. And so it's all right there. And because working in two districts is
Oh
very
yeah.
discombobulating and I get easily confused. And so this is like giving me such peace of mind. And I just don't
Oh,
have a brain that can make, but I just took the shell and made it's just so wonderful.
I'm so glad. Happy to make life
Really
easier for
so
people.
wonderful.
Yay.
I should buy you a margarita or something.
Ah,
I'll take you up on that. Are you going to Menafee? We can do it at Green Mill.
yeah. Um, Good. All right. Well, I'm mindful of time and I want to get to Christy's question as well. Christy had wonderfully asked about support for parenting educators. And, as we know, with support, there are multiple types of support, right? Emotional support and informational support. and practical support. And then there's also different ways that people get support or that are the kind of, so the sort of what part of it or the how, so how might support to parenting educators be valuable? But I'm going to turn it back to Christy and let her speak a little bit more about her question before, and then we can round out our session today with advice. Christy?
I was just reading in the chat for a second here. I can't do two things at once.
It's my fault. I'm
Yeah,
responding about the
no,
class for
no,
older
that's
kids.
right. Because we talked about that earlier too, about K plus. And you did try to do a K class last year with a group of very interested, but really it petered out. They always do,
I
Yeah.
know.
always do. But anyway, I guess I didn't want to take up your time with that direct question of what support is helpful to you. I just wanted to like listen in and get and catch on to it, sort of on the side. But if you're down for it, like I always feel like I'm not doing enough, because I was in their shoes and sometimes wish I still was. But um, our parents are counting on us, and there's so much stress out there right now. Now the SNAP benefits are going to be done, and I find myself thinking about, how do we support families, but without supporting our staff first, we can't support families. So I guess that's just my wondering is, what is it that makes you a strong parent educator, and how can your administration be that bedrock of support? And if you want to say something, that's great. If you don't, you want to go on to another topic, I totally understand.
I have a little something to say. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if it fits here, but I feel a bit invisible, and I don't really like that because I think what we do is so important. But have discovered that the rest of the district, in both the districts I work for, are like, what? What's a parent educator? What? And that is so sad to me because we're at the front end of everything that happens, and that the rest of the district or teachers or, administrators don't even know that we exist or what we do. Like I find that sort of deflating.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with Mary. I mean it was helpful to me. At one point I was the homeless education liaison under the title programming. And I did home visits birth through 12th grade with families as a part of that title programming. I pushed the district to let me do just 5 minutes at opening in service about families who are experiencing homelessness and kind of an invisible population in our. We had teachers saying we don't have families living in cars. I mean, I thought the same thing when the federal government first said we've got to address those issues. But even just that little bit of time, everybody figured out who I was and what my license, my parent education role. It was really helpful. I don't know what I would suggest in place of that. But maybe somebody in district communications could have a thought about what would be a replacement for that, getting a chance to talk to the whole staff. I mean, bus drivers, everybody, the people who work, slave over the stoves and get breakfast and lunch ready for kids, that kind of stuff. It really helped with awareness. The other thing I would have said if I were still teaching is figure out a way to help us protect our prep time, planning time. Yeah. And that's all I'll say about that. The rest of you are active.
I was at the MCEA conference the last couple of days, and Betty and Nancy and Cynthia did a workshop on the core curriculum framework, and with the hope there would be community ed directors, in the room, or, people who of administrative caliber. And I want you all to know that planning and preparation came up, and someone from the audience brought it up, said if we want our teachers to be doing these things and following these standards, and we want parent educators to do this work, we have to give them time. And that was super encouraging. So I wanted to pass that along to you. Maybe what's already happening that you feel supported by? Are there things time with each other.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah. And I mean, in COVID, I burst into tears multiple times. I don't know. I try not to compare anything now with COVID because I was so strung out in COVID. And we all were, right? But I was ready to quit. I was ready to quit this job in like 2021. And I think it was just a multitude of stuff, right? I think it was, it was less about family. I think it was just my daughter was struggling, my son was struggling. Like my parenting world was really heavy. My personal parenting world was heavy. And no matter what you do, like, dividing it, trying to compartmentalize is hard. So I think it probably had more to do with that than my professional life. But I mean, I wasn't okay. This kept me together. But mentally, I feel like I can't even use that as an example because we were all a mess then. We were all just doing the best we could with what we had, which frankly, some days felt like not a lot.
Well, yeah, I guess, Ellen, but there are a lot of us that work in isolation. We're the lone parent educator for our school district, right? Mary, Katie, I think Ellen. So to have a support system like this was something I was and unfortunately I didn't hear about it in the pandemic. It was after that. Ellen, I think I found the Facebook group, Friends of Family Education, and Ellen answered a question that I had and said, "Gee, you should ask the Friday group." And I'm like, "What?" Oh my gosh, if it would have been wonderful to have this and known about it prior to. I'm grateful for what connection I have had over these last few years. But
I
this,
will say, oh, sorry, Nancy, didn't mean to talk over you. There is reflective consultation through education, Department of Education. I don't know if it's moved over to DCYF or not, but I did that for a little while too, which was kind of nice. So that if, that is another thing that can be done for more support.
We do a monthly call, and this is kind of going back to the baby class a little bit, but I do a monthly call, Zoom call with Prior Lake, Shakopee, New Prague, and then Jordan. So it's the gals who do the baby class and then the public health nurse that works with them. So we have that. So I don't know if that's something, you guys could set up. It's like a half an hour over like a lunch period. That's kind of a nice little, collaboration support that I'm kind of grateful for. So, yeah, and then this is huge, for sure.
Yeah, and I just put in, so thanks, Ellen. Yeah, I just put in chat because I kind of am not that well connected, but here it was mentioned that DCYF is also doing some support parenting educator thing. Christy, you're shaking your head. Is that correct?
I don't know anything about it, but it sounds great.
Yeah, like I said, I don't, but if any of you do, but or whatever your connections are to the folks at DCYF. I hope there's good communication on that. I mean, that's another resource. I know we're having, it's interesting this year, we're having a lot more people view our videos. And I have not been putting much effort into just because of time. Well, not time, because of energy, I guess. I don't know. Into putting the Perfect Connections meeting on as an event on Friends of Family Education. I did that before. And it took me a long time to figure out exactly how to do that on a recurring basis. But I don't think it generated that much. But anyway, so yeah, I mean, there's not much promotion of our Friday groups. And so it's nice to see that for posting the videos, you know, the number of people who view them. But one of the things people do say is, you know, Fridays are bad for them, and that's understandable. And if anybody watching is wondering why we do Fridays at noon, it sort of was it just sort of occurred over time, where we started in 2020 when COVID was beginning with a few times a week, just as a drop in, just to see what was going. And then, you know, a year later, you know, people wanted to continue. I mean, COVID was kind of ending. People wanted to continue. And I think we just discovered that the majority of people, we could get a bigger crowd on Fridays at noon. So we've just sort of stuck with that time. And because once we had that time, it's much, much easier to just stay to one time, right? So for people's memories. But because we also offer the video, then you know, that's available. So but yeah, I certainly, oh, here we go. Office, oh, they're calling them open office hours. Okay, great. Are scheduled for the following Thursdays, November 20th. I'm reading this for people who don't see the chat.
And I'll put it in that document too.
Oh, great. November 20th, January 22nd, March. Oh, it looks like they're doing it every other month. March 26th and March 28th.
And they sent out a survey, asked for like looking for times.
Okay.
Because 11:30, I'm still in class by the time, you know, I've missed half of it by the time I get out of class. But I think they were testing out like what time. They know not every time is going to work for people. But and if you want to get on that list, Christy, just message me, Yang, or Darcy Rodriguez at DCYF. I think Mike Brown is involved with it too.
And the format, has anybody attended? So I would guess the last one was near the end of September, if they're doing them every other month.
There were 22 people who did.
Great. And
I know.
Speak a little bit for people who might be interested. I mean, is the format similar to this?
Yeah. I'm trying to find they did, it looks like they got through a lot in a very short amount of time. Yeah, I'll put in, here we go. I'll put this in the chat because I'll read it. Focus on outreach strategies, talked about the persistent challenge of low enrollment and community unawareness. Participants shared several successful, inspiring ideas, including the value of offering free entry points like a baby class. Strong emphasis was placed on consistent direct engagement with healthcare providers, including pediatricians and WIC. Innovative collaborations, such as having WIC staff use ECFE, celebrated ECFE on wheels, visiting in-home daycares. And they shared an example of an outreach letter for medical professionals from Crookston. So looks like they're really focusing on, you know, basically it's the same stuff, you guys, in a different format. How do we find families? How do we get them in the door? It's just they're hearing it at the state level, which
is very important. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Agree. So I'll put that in the chat because it was a lot. Oh, I'm over by 400 words.
Okay, great. Well, and speaking about being over, I see that we are over time. But that just demonstrates our interest in topics and sharing information. So
don't turn it off till I get this. Sorry. Get this all copied.
Oh, okay. Oh,
Thank
I won't. I mean, yeah. I mean, I'll stop the recording. Goodbye, everybody, to you viewing from home. I'm gonna keep the recording going so Nancy can copy what she needs to copy.
You
And
guys coming to Menafee on Friday? Will I see you guys there? Oh,